Hello, friends, and welcome into the Cowboys Report presented by Tavor. I am your host, Tom Downey. We'll start things at this off as we almost always do. Little Cowboys rumors roundup. First off, could there be an Amari Cooper trade? I'll give this one 2 stars. A bunch of different outlets are talking about it. I think for obvious reasons. Look, the Raiders may or may not be, I kind of think that they are, shopping Amari Cooper, or at least are open to trading him away. And the Cowboys, because we all know what their receiving core looks like, well, they are a logical destination for a trade. With that said, I'm only going to put it at 2 stars for a couple of different reasons. I do think it makes some sense. I'm actually okay with this particular trade, but the Raiders want a first-rounder. Absolutely not. That doesn't make any sense for the Cowboys to do that. That's way too much right now for Cooper, because the Raiders aren't going to get that for Amari Cooper right now. First off, his value, I don't know if it's ever been lower. He wasn't that good last year. Hasn't been very good this season. Oh, by the way, y'all hate Dez Bryant for his drops? Guess who drops a lot of passes? Amari Cooper. Now, with that in mind, we'll get to my trade proposal later on in the show. I do want to show you what Bleacher Report suggested, by the way. They said Amari Cooper for a second and Randy Gregory. Why the hell would the Cowboys do that? Absolutely not. So with that one in mind, what would you guys trade for Amari Cooper? Let me know in the comments section. I am certainly not giving up a day 2 pick and a talented young pass rusher in Randy Gregory, but you can talk me into maybe one day 2 pick. I'll get to my exact pick later on in the show. All right, folks, I am hosting an NFL Weekly Pick'em on BetDSI, free to play. If you come in first place, I'll give you $25. Shout out to Brett Scott, one of the Cowboys Report producers, who actually came in first place this week. DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney if you guys want to get the link to sign up for free. And hey, again, first place, $25. All right, more trade rumors. How about a Patrick Peterson trade? I'll give this 1 star. I don't think it's going to happen. From that perspective, it's almost fake news, but I'll give it the 1 star because, A, how great would this be, right? I'll let myself get a little bit excited about Patrick Peterson because I love the dude. I think he's one of the best, if not the best cornerback in the NFL. I'd be down for it. I just don't think the Cardinals are actually going to move him because he's one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. Yes, they're rebuilding. I don't think that they should trade away Peterson, though, anytime soon. But overall, I absolutely love that guy. All right, next up. Could this be Cole Beasley's last year with the Dallas Cowboys? I'll give it 2 stars. Shout out to 24/7 Sports' Patrick Walker, who pointed this out before Beasley went on Twitter and said he wants to be among the highest paid slot receivers in the NFL. Now, remember that, because it does depend on how you're defining slot receiver and among highest paid. My number 1 fear is that Beasley wants Jarvis Landry money. He ain't getting that. But even if he wants Doug Baldwin, Larry Fitzgerald, or Randall Cobb money, I don't know if he's worth $10 million a year. If you can get him to sign an Albert Wilson deal, 3 years, 24 or so, I'm down with that. But I want to know from you guys, as good as he is, and as the really only reliable Cowboys receiver right now, is Cole Beasley worth more than $8 million a year? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Look, I lean more towards not really. You can talk me into maybe $9 million. I love Cole Beasley, but $8 million per year is a lot to pay for a slot receiver as good as Cole Beasley is. What's also good are these Mizzen and Main shirts. Get one of your own. Comfortable.af is the website. Trust me, folks, you will not find a more comfortable shirt, dress or otherwise, than a Mizzen and Main shirt. All right, I'm sure you guys saw this one out there on Twitter and on the Blog Boys sites. Jason Garrett, what, could he have an extension here? I'm going to give it fake news because I just can't rectify this in my own mind. I can't. How the hell could you even consider it? And I don't think the Cowboys are. There was the report from Jeff Sullivan, who writes for the Cowboys website, that says an extension could be coming soon. Jerry Jones today in his radio interview said he didn't know where Jeff was getting that information from, and he kind of debunked it. He also kind of said that he hadn't talked about it with anybody, though this quote, we'll leave this up for a little bit because it is a long quote from Jerry Jones, indicates to me that he hasn't even considered it. Not that he doesn't really deny it and say, no, we're not going to do it, because I don't think he wants to say that about his head coach. He's not going to criticize Jason Garrett right now. This is more of a, I haven't talked about it with anyone, implied because I haven't actually considered it. I thought about giving it 1 star, but this just makes so little sense to me, I can't even put a star on it. There's no way you can justify an extension for Jason Garrett. If he does somehow get extended, we'll come in with a breaking news show, and we'll all be angry together because, as I'm sure many of you still do, I think some of you still want Jason Garrett fired. I certainly don't want him extended right now when the Cowboys are sitting there in classic Jason Garrett form at 3-3. Folks, today's show is brought to you by Tavor. You guys like beer, right? Because who doesn't like beer? Then you're going to love Tavor. Craft beers from all over the country. They got sour beers that I'm a big fan of right now on Tavor. Sign up is free. You'll get alerted each time they have a new beer out. And then use promo code CHATSPORTS for $10 off your first delivery. They'll send you beer right to your house. Guys, go check out Tavor at Tavor.com. All right, some injury notes here for our last two rumors. Is Tavon Austin going to miss some time? Or Tavon Austin, excuse me. 4 stars on this one, and kind of classic Jerry Jones says, oh, well, I don't really know what's going to happen with Austin, and then says, oh, yeah, he's actually going to miss a lot of time. And the injury's been compared here from the Cowboys to Morris Claiborne. And remember when he had this groin injury, he missed 9 games. I don't like that. Now, Austin brings you speed, and I think actually one of his biggest areas of help comes in the return game. I would assume that Cole Beasley is going to be your guy back there going forward, although maybe you had the discussion of, do we want to jeopardize Beasley getting hurt too, and he's the only receiver that we have that can consistently produce on this roster? And if that's the case, and you want someone who can maybe bring you a little bit more pure speed at the punt return duties, I think it's the 2 guys I just showed you. Watch out for Jordan Lewis, who I like quite a bit, and I want on the field more anyway, and Deontay Thompson, who's already on kick returns and can fly. So let me know who you guys want to handle punt return duties in the comments section. All right, next up, more injury notes here. DeMarcus Lawrence, is he okay? I'll give it 3 stars. He is okay, but only like kind of, because he is dealing with a torn labrum. So he can play through it, and from that perspective, he's fine. But he does have a torn labrum, which cannot be fun for him. Now, he's going to keep playing through the injury. He had 24 snaps last week. Probably could have played a little bit more had the Cowboys needed him to. Actually would have played more, but there was no point because it was a blowout win. So Tank's going to be okay, but it is something the Cowboys will have to manage throughout the year. He's going to play each week unless it gets significantly worse, which I don't foresee happening. All right, folks, we are trying to get to 5K subscribers on our Cowboys Report YouTube channel. Subscribe now, youtube.com/Dallas Cowboys Report. All of our great coverage in one spot, plus some exclusive stuff only available on that YouTube channel. All right, folks, once again, I am Tom Downey. You can follow me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. We'll take you now to some receivers the Cowboys could trade for. We'll have some fun here with the trade talk, with the deadline rapidly approaching, and with Earl Thomas hurt, I think receiver makes the most sense for the Cowboys if they want to do it, to go find an upgraded receiver. So their depth chart right now, Beasley and Hearns and Gallup. Tavon Austin is now banged up, so we'll drop him down. Deontay Thompson also kind of banged up a little bit. Bryce Butler isn't even playing, partially because, as I tried to tell you guys before, he's not that good. And also, he's banged up, too. And that's, I think, the bigger reason why I'd rather play him over Deontay Thompson, because cut Thompson get a 4th pick, but we'll get back to that later on in the show. Either way, I think we can all agree, beyond Cole Beasley, these receivers have not been good enough. Gallup has shown some promise. He's still young, still a long-term part, but you need somebody else out there. And there are several guys I think could make some sense and have been linked in other trade rumors out there. Before we get to my top 5 guys, though, I want to tell you today's show is brought to you by Tavor. I know you guys like beer, so you're going to love Tavor. Sign up is free at Tavor.com. They'll get you alerts for all their new craft beers from all over the country. Ship them to your house. Use promo code CHATSPORTS, by the way, when you sign up. $10 off your first purchase at Tavor.com. All right, top 5 guys now, even though I don't know if they all make complete sense, and I'll explain why. First up, as I've seen several times in the comment section on both Facebook and YouTube here, Demaryius Thomas. There's been a little bit of buzz about a Demaryius Thomas trade for one big reason, his contract. Denver doesn't want to pay him $14 million a year next season. But then again, why would the Cowboys? I think that makes a trade very, very difficult. So even though I like the talent of Demaryius Thomas, and I like what he brings in and offers you for whatever you need it to bring, I don't know if it makes the most sense for the Cowboys to go out and make a big deal for Thomas, because it's the $14 million cap hit. If you're the Cowboys, why would you want to, try and make a big splash move when you don't necessarily need to do so? Here's my proposed trade, by the way. Demaryius Thomas for a 5th-round pick. Look, I don't think Denver would get much because of the contract, but I'm willing to give a 5th for one big reason here. All right? Yes, you pay DT a lot of money.
I assume in any of these trades, you're also cutting Deontay Thompson. Because when you do that, the Cowboys should get a 4th-round pick via the compensatory draft process. At that point, you're basically getting a 4th, or you're getting a 4th, losing a 5th, but you're also getting DeMarcus Thomas. That's a trade worth doing, I think, but the money makes it difficult, and I think that's why you might not actually see DT get dealt at all this year at the trade deadline. All right, I'll keep it going here. Number 4, Pierre Garçon. The salary actually works out pretty well. He's only making about $6 million this year and next. That's pretty cheap for a solid receiver. The issue is, I don't know if Garçon is the type of guy that the Cowboys need right now. He's a little bit more of a possession receiver. I would like a little bit more playmaking. I like Garçon. He's a good number 2 receiver, which the Cowboys do need right now. He can play slot and outside, but he doesn't bring you that game-breaking type ability that I think the Cowboys need right now at the wide receiver spot. If you're trying to make a trade, you go big, all right? You don't bother trying to go for the minimal trade. So here is what I have for you guys. Pierre for a 5th-round pick. I think DT is a more talented player than Pierre, but the contract ends up balancing things out. So, and again, this is what I would give up. You guys can argue a higher pick if you want. I value draft picks a lot. Some would say too much so, but that's just me, and that's also how the NFL tends to operate as well. So let me know who says no to that trade in the comment section. All right, number 3, Golden Tate. I love what Tate brings to a team. He can play outside or slot and is great at both. For the Lions' perspective, he's in the last year of his deal, and the way their contract situation works out, they're going to spend a lot of money next year in the offseason. If they let Tate walk, they might not get a comp pick back for him. So if Detroit stumbles down the stretch before the trade deadline and they want to sell at the deadline, Tate could be available. So I would be willing to offer the Detroit Lions a 3rd-round pick for Tate. It might be a little pricey, but I think Tate is actually the exact type of receiver Dak Prescott needs. He's a guy that gets open on his own. He creates separation. I know some of you guys are upset about Allen Hurns. Tate's the opposite of that. Tate's a great route runner. Yes, he's a little bit older than you would like, but I think he'd be a perfect fit for Dak Prescott. Same as like an Emmanuel Sanders, who I don't think is on the trade block at all right now in the NFL. So I give him a 3rd. It's a little pricey. I assume you extend him as well, but the Lions might not want to move him at all. All right, number 2, a guy I do think is available, more so than the first 3 guys we discussed, Devontae Parker. Some conflicting reports on if the Dolphins are actually trying to move Parker. Here's the thing, though. He's not very good. I loved him coming out. I was wrong. He has been a bust in the NFL. He can't stay healthy. He has drop issues. He's barely played this year. Even though he's a 1st-round pick with his big contract coming up next year, I don't think he's worth that much. The most I would offer for Devontae Parker, and I would assume the Dolphins say no because of the upside that he still has, is a conditional 7th-round pick. Bump it all the way up to a 5th if he plays really well and makes some big plays. I just don't think Parker is a worthwhile investment right now because he hasn't done much of anything. So I got Parker as only worth, a conditional pick, a conditional day 3 pick. I just don't trust him enough to make plays and be a true impact guy for the Dallas Cowboys. At least that's where I sit right now. Now, if you disagree with me, if you think I'm wrong all the time, go prove it. I'm hosting a free weekly NFL Pick'em game, $25 to whomever comes in first place each week, by the way. Sign up is free. Just DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney if you guys want the link. It's also my pinned comment right now on my Twitter. Look, there's no downside. Sign up is free. If you come in first, if you think you know football, you get $25. That's a win-win right there. All right, back to number 1 then, and this one shouldn't be much of a surprise. We mentioned it at the very top of the show in rumors. Amari Cooper checks in at number 1. Now, the Raiders want a 1st-round pick for Amari Cooper. They are not going to get that. Amari Cooper is not worth a 1st-round pick right now. All right? I know that some of you guys want Cooper, and I get it. That's why he's number 1 on my list, okay? But I do want to make note here, he has drop issues. We all ripped on Dez Bryant for being unable to catch a pass at times. That's Amari Cooper, who's also had higher drop rates in the past than Dez Bryant did. That's a big red flag for me. And I've heard people say, oh, the Raiders don't know how to use Amari Cooper. That's a big red flag, too, because it's not like Amari Cooper is like a undersized receiver or he's a big guy that's only good in the red zone. He is a properly sized receiver who's supposed to be a number 1 guy. It's not about using him right, I don't think. Now, with that said, I would trade a 3rd-round pick for Amari Cooper. You might be able to talk me into a 2nd rounder, but I don't like that idea. Because even with Amari Cooper, I'm really not convinced that this Cowboys team is a true playoff team. And if that's the case, I don't want to trade a top 50 pick for Amari Cooper. I'd rather go invest in free agency or just, say, we need the picks. Picks are valuable in the NFL. I like Cooper. I think the upside is there for him to bounce back, but I don't want to invest a second-round pick in Cooper. Maybe you can talk me into it if you guarantee me a playoff spot, but I would much rather try and ship them a third because Oakland, you're not getting a first-round pick for Cooper. All right, to recap, folks, 5 wide receivers the Cowboys could trade for: Amari Cooper, Devontae Parker, Golden Tate, Pierre Garçon, and Demaryius Thomas. Let me know which one of those guys you want in the comments section. And while you're there, leave me some mailbag questions. We'll come back later on in the week with my next Cowboys mailbag. So hit me up with any questions you guys have, and we'll see you tomorrow for our next Cowboys Report.